Hey everyone, so it's been a while since I did a video on anything at all, and there's been quite a bit going on, but I actually had a bunch of small videos where I'd been working on the Willys, and I sat down the other night to kind of edit them and put them all together, and it just kind of turned out not good. It just didn't really edit together very well. So I decided instead of doing all those and editing them together, I would just re-record some stuff and do kind of an all-encompassing updates till now type video. So it's been a few months and I have been working on this on and off. I think the last time that I actually put a video up, the end of it, this was still, I don't remember if I had even primered the frame, but as you can see, the frame, well, you can't see it, but the frame got primered with some Rust-Oleum self-etching primer. I have had good luck over the years using the Rust-Oleum primer, specifically the self-etching. I used it on my big Jeep frame, I've used it on the bed that I built for my big truck, and it just holds up well. It doesn't flake off. Obviously I top coat it usually with some Rust-Oleum black. I've had good luck with Rust-Oleum paint, so that's what I typically use. I did do the Eastwood internal frame encapsulator stuff first, and then hit the outside with the Rust-Oleum self-etching primer. If you don't know, the self-etching primer has some acids in it that kind of bite into bare steel a little bit better. Just gives it a little bit better bonding than your normal top coat type primer. So did that, and then top coated it with the Pour 15. Let's see, there's two different parts. I think it's Pour 15 like rust encapsulator or something, and then the Pour 15 top coat. The first part looked great and went on great, looked great, all that good stuff, but apparently it does not have the UV resistance that you need for a frame that's going to be seeing UV light from the sun. So you got to do the top coat, which also went on fine and went on right over top of it and looks fantastic. Just as kind of a side note, while I did use it and I like it, kind of using this Jeep as kind of a testing grounds for different materials and stuff like that. Pour 15 was one of those materials, and while I do like it, I don't think I'll use it on anything else. It looks great. It actually dried to kind of almost like a powder coat type finish on it. More or less self-leveled across the frame, so no real downfalls there. It just, when it comes to scratching it and stuff, not necessarily on this Jeep because this one's going to be more of a road Jeep for us to cruise around in, but on my big Jeeps or when I build my other stuff, I'm going to take it out in the woods. It's going to get scratched, it's going to get hit with rocks, it's going to get damaged to some extent. And with Rust-Oleum black, which is what I typically use, you can just kind of do a little spray can across there and everything is fixed, whereas this, not so much. You got to keep the cans around, which I didn't. I sold off the stuff that I didn't use, and then it's kind of more of a process to touch things up. So just kind of a side note on that. Great product from what I've seen so far, and whatever, but it's just not what I will probably use in the future. So that aside, I got the frame coated. Obviously before I coated it, I got all the welding done. I think last video I still had some finished welding to do on some mounts and things like that, but I got all that done, got it coated. A few things that I want to point out is, for one that just kind of sitting in my mind right this minute. On the last video I had mentioned that these shock mounts in the back were pretty far forward, and I never did anything to fix those. I kind of got to the point where I want this thing to get moving and progressing, and I just didn't feel like messing with those and moving them or anything like that. So you know, I just left them, and I'm gonna put the shocks in. And I took some of the leaves out of these springs to try to lower it, but now it's real bouncy, so I'll probably put the leaves back in. I already did on the front, but I'm just kind of crossing my fingers that it won't be too bouncy in the rear with those shocks lean so far. And if it is, then I'll figure something out at that point. Another thing that I haven't really fixed yet, that I think I mentioned in the last video, is the spring plates up here. I still haven't really figured out something to get my bolts for the shocks moved to the front to line up with these guys. But again, still, you know, plenty of stuff that just has to be worked on still. But anyway, what I have done, what has been accomplished so far, obviously I got the motor back in, the transmission back in. I still have to make a cross member for the transmission, but you know, I'll get to that eventually. Got the body back on. I did make this. This is just a piece of, I believe, 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch L bracket that I drilled some holes, used some nutsert type deals in the frame rails, and this is the mount for the radiator. The radiator that I have has 2 studs that come out of the bottom, so they'll mount there and there. And then I'm gonna, once it's in here, I'm going to make a mount that comes off of this somewhere. I didn't want this holding the radiator because it's not flimsy, but it's definitely not like the strongest thing. So I made that, and that's pretty thick. I think it's 1/8 inch or 3/16. It's pretty thick steel, so you know, I'm not too worried about that. And then the studs that come out of the bottom have rubber bushings on them, so everything will be isolated. It's, you know, not going to bounce out or anything. But yeah, I got that made. Let's see, I haven't really done much with this or the fenders yet. I did, when the body was off, I had it upside down and coated the bottom with the lizard skin product. I did the sound deadening stuff, a couple layers of it, and then I did the ceramic stuff, which is for heat. So I did obviously the firewall and the whole underside under the whole thing. So that kind of, and I actually, when it was upside down, it was easier to get to the underside of this, so this has been sprayed on the bottom side too. So yeah, hopefully that will kind of knock down some of the resonance noise. You know, these things are like a tin can, so it still echoes a little bit as it's going to, but it definitely has like a more solid sound to it rather than that just tin can echoey sound. And then hopefully the ceramic stuff kind of cuts down on any of the heat that'll be coming through. This thing obviously is not going to have air conditioning or anything, so any heat that I could keep from coming through from the motor and exhaust and all is going to be helpful for us. So yeah, what else have I done? Honestly, it's just been like little stuff here and there. It's been a lot of just kind of grinding down edges where I've welded. I think on the last one, this was still open right here. The way I went about fixing this is to just cut a piece. This was some 1/8 inch steel that I just had laying on the shelf. So I just cut a piece that kind of fit the whole top of this step and welded it all in, all the way around the edge. And it stiffened everything up real nice. You know, you're going to be stepping there to get in and out, so I wanted something real stiff, and that got really nice and stiff to be able to step on. So that one's been welded on and ground down. This one over here I've welded on, but I got to get the grinder out and smooth out all the edges. It's still got some work there. Let's see, originally I was thinking about taking this guy out. I don't think I mentioned that on the last video, but I got thinking about it and was thinking about taking this out because I was worried about being able to get up under these edges and like all up under there with primer, paint, any type of, you know, top coat material. And my worry was that I wouldn't be able to get up under there, and then it's just going to be bare steel because somebody sandblasted this and then it would just rust. But after getting the body back on and just kind of again wanting to get this progressing and get some stuff done, I've decided to just leave this on here. I'm going to do some bed liner material in here, so I'll try to get up under those edges as best I can with the bed liner. You know, just kind of tilt the gun and get up under there. But I also got some Rust-Oleum again, new cans. I think it's like their professional series or something like that. Anywho, you can basically hold those cans upside down and spray, and they still spray paint. So I'm gonna, you know, get up under there really good with a few coats of that and try to just paint it out inside there. These hinges broke off of the door that goes here, so I'm going to just grind those off and probably just, I don't know if I'll even worry about welding those holes shut, honestly, but I'll probably just leave it, and then we'll just get some hinges from Lowe's or something and bolt them in here and into the door. This little area here is actually a little dip. It's like a little channel, and as you can see, water and such has just kind of sit in the bottom of this channel and done a lot of work on this steel. Again, originally I was thinking about cutting it out partially because of that, but with leaving it in here, I'm thinking what I'll do, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do yet, but I'm going to get some like 3M seam sealer to go down some of these edges and stuff, and I might just put some tape under this the whole way around to just kind of like block off the holes, and then just 3M seam sealer, not fill this channel up, but just, you know, kind of do a layer in the bottom of that, and then when it comes time for bed liner, I'll just bed line it, and hopefully with a few layers of sealer and paint and stuff like that, you know, it'll be good, sturdy enough. You know, it's not going to be like new, but sturdy enough to last for a little while. I also am planning to drill a hole or two or so in here because water will get in here. Again, there's this channel here with the door shut, you know, seems like it would kind of block it off, but this inner lip of this channel is shorter than the outer lip. So when water gets in this channel, it's gonna come out under the door and then drain into here before it just washes off there. So I'm gonna drill some drain holes. Anything that goes in here will go in plastic tubs or something like that to keep it from getting wet anyway, so not a huge deal. Moving back through here again, just got a lot of prep work really to do back in this area. I'm not really planning to do much as far as fabrication or anything, just need to, you know, go step by step through the painting and priming and bed lining and all that process. So outside is basically in the same state. We're not going to worry about like trying to fill in dents and stuff. I'm not trying to make it flat. We are just, I'm going to run a sander across it. When I did the sound deadening and all stuff on the bottom, I didn't worry about taping it off. I just said, you know, screw it, and decided I would just sand the stuff that got on the outside off. So there's a little bit like there and stuff. So I got to sand the outside. I'm going to hit it with some Rust-Oleum self-etching primer because it is all bare steel. So get that self-etching primer on it, get it, you know, a nice coat of primer. And then what I think I'm gonna do is hit it with a layer of high build primer. It'll give it a little bit of a buffer, I guess you could call it, for where some of the work has been done, and it's not necessarily gonna be super flat. I don't wanna make it pretty, but I also don't want it to look like total garbage. I want it to be kind of in a middle state. So I'll do the, like I said, the self-etching primer. I'll do a layer of high build primer. That'll kind of hide some of the bigger imperfections that we have going on. And then we're gonna hit it with, I think a dark gray. So I'm letting Stacy, this is kind of her Jeep. I mean, it's mine, I'm building it, it's my Jeep, but I'm kind of building it for her to a certain extent. So I'm letting her choose colors and whatever. And I think right now the idea is to do the outside, including like this area, the hood, the fenders, outside body, in a dark gray, and then do the interior with a tan. And a lot of that comes from the dark gray on the outside is the color she really wants. Then when it came to the inside, I said, hey, I want to bed line it for, you know, just durability, and kind of there's some work, and that's not so much work, that's factory, but there's some work like this where they put this piece of steel in, and I think I would have bent this steel down and made like a valley here, but they bent it up and then welded it upwards like that. So it's got some of these like cracks and stuff. Again, I am going to hit some of that with the 3M seam sealer and try to fill that in, but also I just want to top coat it with bed liner to kind of hide some of that bigger stuff and just kind of give it a real good coating for weather protection and whatever. Anywho, all that is to say that the bed liner that goes in here can be tinted. I'm going to use Raptor liner. I've used it on a few other things, and again, it's held up well for me, so why mess with something that's working good? So I'm gonna get the Raptor liner. It can be tinted, but we don't necessarily want to try to match the gray tint from the outside to the inside, because if you get it a little off, then it's just going to look weird. So we decided to just kind of go with a contrast color for the interior. Went with tan, or we're going with tan, partially just because both of us like tan interiors, but also because we wanted a light color on the inside to hopefully keep like radiant heat from the sun down. I am tentatively planning to put some type of canopy top on this thing, but even with the top, like, you have no doors, you have no sides, you may or may not have the top. Right now I'm debating if I even really want to put the windshield on it, so we'll see. But anyway, you're gonna get sun in here, and if this is all black, which is what bed liner typically is, then it's going to get real hot real quick. So I still have, oh, and I was going to mention, I think the way I want to go about it is to paint the outside and kind of overlap the paint to the inside and under the edge and all that stuff, and then I'll do the interior with the bed liner, and that way I can kind of tape off where I want kind of the demarcation between paints to be, and there won't be a gap where like nothing is painted, or, you know, something is not painted. So that's the plan there. Still have some work to do. I'll have a lot of work to do underneath. Still have the fuel system to do completely. Everything is, you know, there's no gas tank. It would be there under the driver's seat. There's no fuel pump or anything like that mounted right now. Still have all the wiring to do. Axles, I think I had mentioned in the last video, or it might have been in one of those short clips that I'm just kind of tossing in the trash, but I have picked up some other projects that came with some similar axles, and I was thinking about swapping them around and whatever. But at this point, I might just bite the bullet and pay for the equipment to just rebuild these two as much as I need to rebuild them. I think, if I remember right, it's been a minute since I looked at them, but I think like the gears and stuff were okay in this rear axle, but the brake equipment is just totally gone, so I need to get all new brake equipment for back here, which I think that's going to be like $200, which is what I was trying to avoid spending. But, you know, at some point you just got to pay money to get the project moving. Kind of the same ordeal up here. The brakes are actually on this one, but I think it just kind of needs some maintenance work. You know, these axles are 40 years old, 45 years old. I don't even know. I'm not even sure what, if these, well, I never got a date for the CJ5 frame and all that, so I have no idea what year any of this actually is. But anyway, it's old. So for all I know, I could need upper and lower ball joints. I know I need to get some new replacement studs for this front axle, because some of them were stripped off and whatever. So there's just a lot of maintenance work that I have to do on these axles. But again, I just kind of want to get this project moving forward and kind of done. Like, I've had this thing in this garage for about 2 years or so, and it's just kind of sat and sat and sat, and I kind of just want to get it done and go drive it some. So yeah, that's the updates on this. I do have some other projects that I can do a real quick show of here for a real quick. So I picked up not too long ago this guy. So this is a mid-80s CJ8 scrambler. I actually have this one, and it came with a ton of parts. There's actually a new bed floor under that pile, but there's parts here, and there's parts all up there, and there's parts outside. But I got this one, and then I actually got another one that's in worse shape, but I got another CJ8 that's outside with the rest of the parts. So I got these two projects that I'll be working on eventually. And then I recently picked up a 98 XJ 2-door from some family friends. So I've got some videos for that. Hopefully I can edit them together in a way I like and get a video for that going on. But yeah, just a lot of projects and never enough time, right? So yep, that's kind of the update for this guy. I will try to keep updating you guys as much as possible. Again, I'm new to this video stuff, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit as far as video content and quality. But if you want to see anything or want to know anything or have any questions, just feel free to message me or whatever through, I guess, YouTube comments or whatever, and I will try to answer any and all questions as I can.